Welcome to No Bad Charts, the podcast hosted by three therapists at the cosmic intersection of internal family systems and astrology. I'm Sarah.
Hi, I'm Melissa.
And I'm Shay.
Each month, we invite a guest and our listeners to get to know their parts, access self-energy, and map their inner world more fully through the expansive lens of the zodiac. All charts and all parts welcome. Okay, welcome back everyone to No Bad Charts and our Cancer season edition. This one feels extra special because actually all three of us today are a Cancer sun. So myself, Melissa, and our guest Joe, we all have multiple Cancer placements. So I'm definitely looking forward to getting into the feels and all of the attachment stuff that comes with Cancer energy. And just kind of getting into some conversation with two other healers. So, yeah, Joe, would you like to share a little bit about yourself and your background?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you both for just having me. And it's really cool to be here. So my name is Joe Woodbridge. I own a therapy practice with my wife in the Philly suburbs. It's called the Willow Space for Trauma Treatment. We're IFS-informed EMDR therapists, EMDRIA approved consultants, and yeah, our practice is really focused around treating complex trauma, complex PTSD. And that's how I met Sarah, actually, is through the IFS-informed EMDR model through syzygy and guiding together a lot over the past year. And yeah, that birthday chart reading you did for me, which was like very accurate. And I was like, all right, yeah, there's definitely something to this. So yeah, just excited to be here.
Yeah, we're really excited to have you too because it's just such a cool opportunity to explore someone's chart who hasn't done a lot of astrological training or education. So yeah, to me, it feels like kind of an organic experience of how this integration of IFS and astrology, kind of work together, even if you don't have to be like an expert in both models to sort of get it. I feel like the IFS helps us tune into it, and the astrology is just kind of a unique way to get in touch with some of our parts. So yeah, definitely excited to have you on and close to your birthday and all of that.
Yes.
Yeah, so Cancer, is the archetype of the mother. That's kind of one of the energies of the sign. It's a cardinal water sign, so it's very much like a leader in the emotional realm. So it's no surprise to me that the three of us, having that as our sun sign, decided to become healers. Of course, not all cancers have to become therapists, but it's definitely feels like congruent, right, with the spirit of Cancer. And so before we dive into looking at Joe's chart, which is very heavily stacked in Cancer and very interesting, I'm going to lead us through a short little meditation for some of those parts of us that actually might need a little bit more access to Cancer self-energy. So you can keep your eyes open or closed, whatever helps you sort of connect inside. And I'm going to ask you to tune into any parts of yourself that maybe felt alone as a child. Parts that have been looking for their good mama their whole life. And maybe some parts that had to be more mature when they were children. Those protector parts that learned to take on caretaking roles early in life. When really they needed some care themselves. Just notice any memories, images, feelings or sensations that might feel active around that invitation. And as you're noticing them and really feeling into their deep need, I want you to notice that there is something else within you that has witnessed your whole life, that has seen you through every stage, every change, all of your different developments and storylines, and still loves you completely and unconditionally. Something in you that promises to be there through your life until the end and maybe beyond. Something in you that wants to take care of you, wants to see you doing well, and also wants to be there for you on the days when things are hard and maybe not going so well. Something in you that wants to offer a sense of home within yourself, that offers a cup of tea, a favorite meal, a hug when you're feeling most alone. A love inside of you that represents an unbreakable bond between your spirit and your human expression. And if you were able to notice some parts that felt alone, that really needed care, see if they're able to just take that in, even if it's just a little bit. That something in you has been there from the beginning, witnessing you, loving you, and has the capacity to do that forever. Remind these parts of you that that energy is actually always available to you. That this won't be the last time they get to feel and take some of that into their systems. And as I invite you back into the Zoom, just let them know that you'll continue to check back in on them so they don't have to keep doing things alone. And whenever you're ready, you can start to come back. Ah, obviously I write a lot of these meditations for my own parts. They're a little autobiographical. Um, I feel like with Cancer energy, it took me a very long time to really understand it. When you're growing up and you're kind of an angsty teen and you read in the astrology books that, oh, Cancers want to be at home. I was like, fuck that. I don't want to be at home. I hate my home. I hate my fam. I don't want to be here. What are you talking about? Um, but later, right, as I matured, I was like, oh, they don't want to go to that home, but they do need a place. Maybe I could create it for them, right? Like, how can I? So to me, it's all about like the Cancer energy is all about doing this secure internal attachment repair over time with those parts of us that really needed that and weren't able to have those needs met. So yeah, I'm curious what came up for either of you.
Oh man, as soon as you were talking about those parts that were searching for a mom, I noticed like the sensation in my chest that always comes up for me whenever I'm in therapy. And because my situation is like a little complex being adopted, and so I was like, holy shit, that just like yeah, really felt that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a heart pull, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Also just a lot of relatability to those cancer parts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about, I mean, it's really powerful meditation. I never really felt into the juxtaposition of the exile that's searching for mom and the one that had to be a little mom, the protector. I kept
Mm-hmm.
thinking to myself, both archetypes are in me. And like I've even been working on this in therapy, right? The part of me that's like longing for that care, but the part of me that always feels like, wow, everyone's always seeking care from me because I flip flop between the protector and the exile. But I love the idea of self energy as like the care attachment. Self compassion is really like the self leadership quality of Cancer because I think that's really what changed my life is when I found IFS in 2017. Because prior to that, I probably was always externalizing the need for mother. And after that, while the tendency is still there, as this is like a Cancer Sun thing, it still is very much like embodied in a way that wasn't before. So I'm grateful to IFS for that, teaching me how to nurture myself.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. And what you're saying about like both of those archetypes. So I started with talking about Cancer's archetype as the mother, but it's really like the mother child, right? And so oftentimes I notice that like the exiles are like the baby,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then the protector parts that show up do the mothering and like, okay, like I have to take care of my baby exile. I have to maybe take care of my parents. I have to
Yeah.
manage my relationships. And then that self energy comes in as like, oh, like there's something here that can actually do that for me.
What a
And
relief. We can get
yeah.
out of that whole dance of I will mother you if you'll mother me back.
I
Yeah,
felt like this release in my gut kind of as you were getting towards the end of that meditation. I always forget that that is in there within me, you know?
same.
Yeah.
Same. And, it is because like we don't kind of, no one guides us to that growing up. Like, hey, buddy, guess what? Like somewhere deep inside of you is this like core energy that actually, no one's doing that, right? We're just kind of, you know, the families we come from are, having their own experience based on their experiences. Like no one, well, maybe we're doing it differently now. Some of us that are IFS therapists and parents, right? We're guiding our kids a little bit
Yeah.
more towards that. We're still human and like fucking things up for sure. But like most of us didn't come up, in families where even this idea of like there is this infinite resource within yourself. And it doesn't mean we don't need it from other people. Like absolutely we do. But when we have it and we know how to access it within ourselves, we also then know how to recognize it in other people, like safe other people.
Oh, that's such a great freaking point. Yeah.
Yeah.
You recognize
Yeah.
it more when you have access to it, which is why when people are like, you can't like receive love unless you learn how to love yourself, sounds so condescending. It's more just like once you know what love is and you know that you deserve it and you know how to give it to yourself, you will not accept less than that because it feels like
Mhm.
embodied and true and nurturing and nourishing to yourself, to be loving to yourself, and to only let people close to you who are not diminishing or invalidating or disrespecting you in that process. That's my experience. And then you get to add more love from there, you know.
For sure. Yeah, I feel like it's that kind of like in IFS, we talk about like parts detecting versus self-energy detecting.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, like you can kind of feel, even if someone, like we all are going to have our parts forever, like that doesn't go away, right? But when we're able to be like, oh, hey, I was activated by a part and like let me get some space from it. And here's, when I'm able to unblend a bit from it, like you can feel that when someone has that ability to kind of step back into self energy or to give their parts more of their self energy. Um, versus, I think relationships are really hard. They're really hard anyway, but they're really hard when someone's only like taking turns being blended with different parts. It's like, how do I? And for our Cancer parts, then it's like, all right, my partner now has like 10 different protector parts that I need to take care of. Like, oh my God, it's like a
Well, and
big
also like the
responsibility.
urge to reparent them. So it's like, I want to teach you about your self
Oh
energy, but you're my
man.
boyfriend or my friend, so maybe I shouldn't. But let me just give you a
Yeah.
free session.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes I just wish I could like turn it off, that ability to like pick up on other people's stuff. It's like it's such like a blessing, but it's also a curse. In some ways, it kind of feels that way anyway.
For sure. And
Yeah.
especially, yeah, like when like when those caretaking parts come online and they sort of take over and like we can see what needs to happen to make the other person feel better or what nurturing they need
Yes.
or what, but it's coming from a caretaking part. And caretaking parts don't actually have the infinite resource of the self energy, right? So they will just keep trying and trying and trying until they've burned out their resource and then you're burned out. You're like, what the hell? Like, how did I get here? Um,
Hmm.
versus like actually when we're pulling that from self energy, the resource is infinite, but there's also a wisdom around the boundary of that. It's like, okay, like this is, I don't have to keep, like, I feel like parts are always trying to keep trying and keep fixing and keep, if I just give them enough love, right, then my partner will change or my partner will be in a better mood or, whatever it is. When the wisdom of self is also like, hey, I'm just here. Like, I don't need to necessarily, it's not my job to fix you or reparent you um, but yeah, our empathy can definitely get in the way. And it's like, but I can see why you're broken in this way. I can see what hurt you, right? So like, let me try and bandage it up. It's
Yeah, and
like,
then the
no, like
burnout.
that, it's just going to keep, reopening because it can't actually be healed that way.
Yeah. Yeah, no, totally. I was just thinking the burnout of like such a great point when you're over giving from a part is a good indicator of like, why am I getting resentful? Why am I getting so tired?
Hmm.
Oh, maybe some part of me overrode the wisdom of my self energy to overgive in this moment. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Joe, I'm going to pull up your chart.
Yeah.
Sounds
Um,
good.
yeah. And this will be your first time. Oop, did I
Yeah, this is my first
wrong?
time ever seeing my whoa.
Yeah, look how stacked you are,
Whoa.
Mr. Bowtie.
So this is not typical for charts to kind of be stacked in this way.
No, it's not typical. It's like a configuration in astrology that they call like a bow tie because you can see on each side there's
Oh,
like,
okay.
yeah, but it is, you also have a lot of things very close together. Um, like the Cancer energy in your chart, just to point it out for people that are maybe listening but not like watching. We have your sun at 19 degrees, then your moon at 28, conjunct your rising sign at 28, conjunct Chiron at 28. So there's a lot of concentrated um, Cancer energy for you. It's also very close to, so your sun is very close to your past life karmic issues that you're also working on. So we can also think of the chart as giving us layers to the burdens that our parts are holding on to, which I think can also be validating because sometimes it's like, why was I born feeling this way already, right? Like I've
Right.
always felt this. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's like, oh, this is a continuation of a storyline, that maybe you've been cycling through for lifetimes, right? This search for the good mother. This may not be your first time looking for that, right? But this time, like the way that it's kind of lined up with your chart, it's really bringing it back to you have more choices this time. The healing around this is when you start to direct the show a bit more versus like early life stages probably focus more on um, just kind of absorbing, right? Like the needs of people around you was like, oh, I'm just absorbing this and taking this all in, like
Yep.
in the watery womb, like, okay. But then like the growth for you is like, okay, what direction am I gonna take this story in?
Sarah, what I'm noticing is the outer planets are the ones that are opposing, but
Mm-hmm.
all the personal planets are stacked. So that just means like more generational themes are on the other side, but the stuff that most personally impacts your chart, Joe, are all stacked together in Cancer and Leo. So like that's fascinating as hell. And oh, a little bit of a Virgo, just the very end there. But
Just at the very end.
I'm just noticing for the first time. I did look at your chart earlier, but I guess I didn't see it clearly enough. But I was like, oh my God, Chiron conjunct the moon as well. Um, and then it looks like asteroids, but I'm not as well versed with those. But it's fascinating. There's just so much concentration of energy there.
Yeah. Yeah. So because there's so much cancer, I kind of, I guess, want to slow it down and like thread by thread, just kind of see what comes up for you, Joe, in your experience.
Mhm.
So I guess I'll start with like your sun and the south node. We can't kind of separate them. They're so close together. But I'm curious, like what memories or experiences or parts come up for you around, yeah, like those early shaping experiences where you're just sort of absorbing emotional energy from your environment.
Oh man, yeah. Well, as soon as you said that, I was like, yeah, that pretty much was my experience. Growing up was just like feeling so many things and not really having much of a space to kind of bring that stuff to. And yeah, kind of navigating a lot of different people's experiences in the same kind of space. And yeah, not really feeling like there was a whole lot of room for my experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, so the place, the 12th house is where your sun and your south node are. Um, and to me, like people that have a lot in the 12th house, they sometimes can feel invisible or they don't like,
Yeah.
what's my identity? I don't quite have a form, right? And the self energy to that would be, okay, you need places, even
Mhm.
like mentally that you can kind of check out to and recover and like not be absorbing anyone's energy, but maybe be absorbing something bigger than yourself, like, staring at the stars or like going into another world for a while that's really just
Mhm.
for you. That's like the optimal case. And hopefully over
Right.
time, like we learn to find those places or like, yeah, worlds for ourselves. But I feel like in the beginning, as a child, like the word that comes to mind is just like confusion between self and other. Like, I don't,
Mhm.
like, who am I? Whose energy is this?
Well, yeah, exactly. And that also wasn't really modeled for me. Like I didn't really see people doing things that were for themselves specifically. I saw a lot of that kind of absorption happening around me. So I was like, oh, well, I guess this is just what you do. I guess this is just how people are. And
Yeah.
yeah, then coming much later in life to find out that that's not how most people kind of live life or, yeah, that's not like what most people experience. It's been, like you said earlier, it's really validating.
Yeah. Yeah. That is such a good point too about, I feel like those early life experiences, we're kind of learning how to be human, right? Like we're getting the blueprint from whoever's around us and how they're sort of navigating things. And then we take that on as like, okay, like these are the rules. Like this is how things work. And we get out into the world later and we're like, oh, huh. like, oh, not everyone's playing by those same rules, or not everyone is kind of operating that same way. Um, yeah, and it's interesting to hear you say that like you witnessed a lot of that kind of same energy from the people around you. I think about sometimes too with Cancer, there can sometimes be like a martyr energy of like, well, I'm like doing this for other people. I'm sacrificing myself. But like it's kind of no good, right? Like in the end, it's kind of no good.
I like that you're going in order because as Joe's newer to astrology, I think it's beautiful to just kind of geometrically go down the line. So I guess the next thing would be the moon sun conjunction, which is I'm imagining like a real deep connection to your emotional needs as expressed through your identity. But I'm not sure, Sarah, what you would say about that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Is anything coming up around that for you, Joe?
Oh yeah, like I'm a very emotional person and I definitely am someone who likes to have very deep, sort of meaningful connections. I don't really care for like surface level
Mhm.
relationships, I really yeah, in my personal life, I really try and like connect with people in a very deep and meaningful way.
Mm.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that's like, as we're kind of like weeding through like all the different Cancer parts, like that's an authentic need for Cancer, right? So even if it's like, oh, well, there's a part of me that needs that, it's like, yeah, that those parts have some access to like the self energy because they really understand that like this is a real need for your system. This isn't just a protective strategy, but right, like to have that feeling of closeness, and kind of like the depth too of like I don't want to just, if you think about like Cancer as the crab, it's like it's scuttling along the bottom of the ocean. Like when it comes out of the water, it's actually extremely vulnerable, right? It's like, oh, I'm like some seagull's gonna eat me, or like something bad is gonna happen. And so we feel safer in the depths. It's like, all right, like who else can like come meet me here? Because yeah, I don't know if any of, we're all Cancer, so I'm like, I don't know how the rest of you have experienced this, but I do notice that like when I come out of the ocean, like say a networking event or something where it's like more superficial, I'm like very aware of my shell. I'm like I'm somehow stunted a little bit, or I can't quite, I just don't quite feel safe. And I feel like that the shell go up and then, go meet with some close friend afterwards. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I think I'm maintaining always a level of privacy, and I'm sure it
Mm,
never seems that way because I'm actually very outspoken and kind of open. The
Mm.
privacy is not so much the content, it's my heart. It's like I'm still guarding the gate around whether or not I trust you or feel loved by you. And so therefore you're not being let all the way in, even though I can communicate about anything deeply with you. And I'm curious and I'm kind of testing the waters literally with you to see how Cancerian we can get. So yeah, there's definitely also, but my moon's also in the fourth house, which is of like the inner self. So I definitely
mm.
have like this reserve that isn't obvious to people. But yeah, absolutely. And like the only people who pass through the little gate, I actually have two really close friends. We call ourselves the water baddies. We have a group text and it's two Cancers and a Pisces. And I'm like, it's just Cancer placements or water placements usually can just travel there a little bit more easily. They can swim around. They're like, "Oh, I see you down there. You're hiding, but
Yeah,
you seem sweet." And then they soothe me with their waters. So,
I love it. I love that.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm kind of thinking about too, like these different Cancer parts. Like, yeah, okay, so we started with like the self-development early in life where it's kind of like diffuse or like confusing, nebulous, a lot of absorption. Um, but then when we get to the ascendant, which is the rising sign, which is sort of how you, those parts of you that help you navigate life. Like, what am I doing next? And it's also the way that other people tend to kind of conceptualize us. It's almost like there's a Cancer part of Joe that everyone sees, and there's a Cancer energy in Joe that's more private and like still like figuring itself out and all of that. So I kind of imagine that just from what I know about you is like, okay, like there's like Joe the therapist and, you
Mhm.
know, the healer, right? These are things that people see about you in the world. Um, and then like beneath that, there's like the Joe that needs privacy and like
Yeah.
spaces where no one is there and like you do your own healing stuff. It's like everyone kind of fuck off, please. Like I need to be
Yeah.
in my zone.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true.
Okay, another interesting piece here. So, yeah, so you kind of, you know, like I said, people see the Cancer energy in you, and at the same time, there's maybe this more hidden aspect. But also, so Chiron, which is the archetype of the wounded healer, is right on top of your moon. So clues that that gives us about the parts that may be, you know, processing some stuff in this lifetime for you. It's a lot about healing the mother wound. It's a lot about healing attachment patterns. Um, and wherever we have Chiron, it's like when you do that work for yourself, it's something you can help other people with. So I'm curious about your personal journey and then kind of becoming a therapist, right? Like, is that journey of
Yeah.
like, hey, I got into this, you know, like newsflash, most of us got into this to heal our own shit, right? And then we're like, hey, like this is kind of like something I'm good at and I want to help other people with it. But yeah, I'm kind of curious about that evolution for you.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting because I came into being a therapist when I was in a point in my life where I was actually like really focused around helping a lot of other people. Like already I had kind of been in this place where um yeah, I was just you know, sort of giving a lot to others and it wasn't until about like a little over 4 years ago, actually right when I had become an EMDR certified therapist, when some life stuff kind of happened, and I was like, oh shit, I should probably, you know, go do this work for myself, you know, individually. And so I did, and the last 4 years really have been focused around doing like a mix of IFS and EMDR. I've definitely like made up for the lack of work I didn't do over the last 4 years and continue to do. But yeah, like significant complex attachment, uh, wounding and a lot of you know, on both ends, right? With like both mothers, right? Like
Hmm.
a lot of longing in that sense and yeah, just a lot of abandonment kind of stuff that has come up there too. And yeah, it's been a very interesting kind of process of like starting to make sense of all of that.
Yeah, that sounds like the work you're meant to be doing. And also I can see how it's like, wow, like it's heavy stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for sure, like at least the first, I want to say like the first 2 years that I was into it, there were times where I was like, I might need to like take some time off of work and like, you know, like go somewhere, right? Like it was like really, really heavy. A lot of just like stuff somatically too that was kind of happening and
Mm.
coming up and yeah, just like stuff that I had never really like felt before, you know, and I think kind of what like Melissa was saying about that privacy earlier is like yeah, there was definitely stuff that had been like buried really deep underneath of that that all kind of like came out um you know through this one like particular event about 4 years ago. But yeah, it's been it's been wild.
I appreciate your vulnerability. It's beautiful and can totally relate to like the times where you're just extra raw. Like the wounded healer is Chiron. So it's like you're literally giving from the well, but like you have to fill it yourself. And it's like you have to
Mhm.
kind of attend to your own attachment wounding so that you have the secure attachment to provide for your clients. And sometimes that alignment isn't so graceful and smooth. It's sort of like, wow, I'm still kind of tending to my injuries and I'm
Yeah.
also in service. Um,
Mhm.
Another beautiful, interesting thing is you mentioned you're in business with your wife, and I'm thinking we're talking literally, right? Cancer can symbolize home and family, but also like your attachment to her. You're both in a healing relationship and partnership for others. You have a private
Mhm.
practice, which is a location where people come to heal. So I'm also thinking about how that could be in relationship to this too.
Oh, that's so funny that you say that because what we so our practice is really kind of based around the ideology of like the willow tree, but also when we were setting up our waiting area, we kind of set it up in a way where we wanted it to feel like you were walking into someone's living room. So there was
Oh,
very much kind of like that homey sort of, feel that people, yeah, that's funny.
yeah,
It's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
We got to look at her chart sometime too. But
Yeah, she
yeah.
just had her birthday. She's June 11th is her birthday.
Ah,
yeah. Oh, I got
okay.
some Gemini.
Gemini.
Yeah.
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 Nice, nice. Oh, and now I'm thinking back to our Gemini episode. I'll send it to you later, but we talked a bit
Yeah.
about how like Gemini and Cancer are actually like an unlikely but a really nice pairing for each other.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Um,
Yeah, when I
yeah,
check it
wow.
out, please send it to me.
I will. I will. Um, yeah. I feel like, you sharing like some of your story. I mean, I know it's true for everyone that like healing is cyclical, right? Like we're never quite finished with it and like we're always evolving.
Mhm.
But I also feel like with Cancer, the moon, Chiron, like these things being so close together, um, in a way, it's like the more layers and things that you're unpacking and for Cancer, I also think of like the hermit crab and like getting out of one shell, finding your next shell. Like this is exactly what we're supposed to be doing, even though sometimes it doesn't feel good or it feels scary, or we get to points where it's like, we talked about the baby and the mother archetype. Like sometimes I'm more the baby. And like I need, right? That's when I know I'm like, oh, I can't really like if my baby parts are calling for me, I need to tend to them, right? Like I can't exactly
Mhm.
be in the mothering self energy um for other people. I even find that in parenting, like just being aware of like what parts of me are coming up. And sometimes I'm like, oh, it's like my baby part is like reacting to my child. And so I'm like, oh, like let me get some space from that if I can, or go into my shell for a little bit to recover. Um, but yeah, like recovery is a very it's a word that's just tied to like the Cancer process. Like we are always evolving and it's often somewhat reluctantly. Like we're not necessarily running to like find the next thing, but once we've sort of outgrown one shell and it's time to do some work, we're like, oh crap, like what's this next? It feels scary because we haven't built the next shell yet or we haven't found it. So like we need that sense of home and safety, while also like balancing that we have to take risks sometimes.
Mhm.
Isn't that sort
Yeah.
of like the secure base that helps us take risks? That we have our
Yes.
little foundation. Like if I'm coddled and snuggled and quiet and home alone all weekend and I feel like I've nourished myself with stuffed animals and tea, then I usually feel a little braver on Monday.
Mm.
Yes.
Like a
Yeah.
retreat to expose, right? Like,
Right, right. But that's also why it's good for us to not be comfortable all the time. Because if we were, we would just kind of stay in that and like, right, it'd be this like failure to launch situation where it's like, I'm so cozy here. Like, why would I
Yeah,
ever
why would
leave?
yeah, exactly. I could totally see that.
Yeah, like we need that discomfort to push us. And yeah, Joe, like the way that your chart is set up too, whenever you are kind of making a decision for yourself or deciding like my life's going to go in this direction or like here's the next move that I'm going to make, here's the next risk that I'm going to take, even if it feels scary, like that's actually how you know you're on the right track. It's like this, I know this will bring me some healing and some new adventures. It's kind of scary, but it's a risk I need to take. Um, and
Mm.
to me, like the way the story is in your chart, it's sort of like that's how you start to define yourself. Whereas in early life, it's like other people are making decisions, other people are calling the shots, right? But as you grow and mature, like into your rising sign, it's like, oh, like let my sensitivity and intuition actually guide me into making choices and going out into the world. Um, yeah.
Mm.
But also, like we also can't ignore this. Directly opposite to all of that, so your moon and your Chiron are at 28 Cancer, and your partnership line is directly opposite that at 28 Capricorn. that all means nothing right now, but in a moment it will mean something. It's also reminding you you need to pick partners who are grown-ups in a sense,
Hmm.
right? And that, like, to me, like that balances out moving away from having to be stuck in the caretaking role for people. Like the best natural partners for you, whether it's business or long-term friendships or marriage or relationships, is like actually someone that kind of already is solid, right? You don't have to reparent them or like teach them how to grow up. They already kind of come in with a certain level of stability, maturity, um, able to like handle hard stuff. And then it just like makes this really like kind of nice balance between the two. So I'm curious how that, if that's been your experience in past relationships or current relationships or, any kind of partnerships. They don't have to be, you can go as
Yeah.
vulnerable as you want, but it can be business stuff, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely I'm definitely used to pe being around people who have a lot less like emotional intelligence or like immaturity than I do. And I don't say that because I think that like I'm the most, insightful person or anything. That's just kind of been my experience. And but it is interesting that, yeah, like, yes, I mean, I'll just say, like, my wife is actually the, like, first person that, kind of showed up in that way where, it's like, oh, this person is very much an adult and has their shit together and doesn't need, me necessarily to, kind of help do all this healing work for them. Like, so yeah, I didn't feel like I was needing to necessarily like give a whole lot emotionally, and that was like a good there's also a lot behind that story around like taking risks and all that kind of stuff too, which we don't have time to get into, but it just very much aligns with what you're saying.
Ooh, I'm so curious now.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, taking risks, right? And this is like the first kind of partner that you didn't feel like you needed to raise them from emotional infancy into,
Yeah, like just that
yeah.
like one-sided, like I'm, putting all of my emotional energy into this relationship and not getting anything, back out of that.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen her chart, but I almost imagine just based on your chart that like you actually may be the more emotionally needing person. But that's correct for you, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. No, like God, being a Cancer is such an interesting lifetime. But that is the thing that I've had to learn too, that like, oh, I actually do need a relationship where the other person is solid and can carry me and like be like the steady thing because it makes it safe, right, for me to do my work
Yeah.
and my recovery and like actually be who I am with vulnerability and all of that. Um, I can't like access all of those. It's almost like it's so hard to get to the exiles if I have to be in the protector role of caretaker all of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's like a sweet spot. Like a burdened Capricorn might have difficulty accessing emotion, but
Mm-hmm.
like it also can provide leadership and grounding. And it's like if you're with someone who's an earth sign who's stabilizing, like I think about when I visit my aunt's house, like all of her family are all earth signs, and my whole body just relaxes because I feel so grounded,
Mm.
and they're constantly attending to practical needs in the house, right? So we've got a couple Tauruses, a Capricorn, a Virgo, and so I'm like, ah, oh, my nervous system feels so stabilized here. I feel safe here. And that's the gift of having someone with like an opposite type of yeah, archetype that you're
Mm.
partnered to. And then you kind of get to be sometimes in your moods and in your feelings, but like there's somebody who's like not phased by that as much. They're just like, okay, you're just having
Mm.
a moment. I'll make you some tea. But it's yeah, it sounds really cool that you both have access to that in your relationships.
Yeah, it's very new for me to have that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like sometimes, and I don't love this, but if I look at like past relationship patterns, I can see that I really was clinging to I'm the more emotionally intelligent, I'm the more as a way to sort of protect myself. I'm like, well, if I can be like this sounds shitty, right? But when I look at the strategy, I see what was happening. Part of me was like, well, if I can kind of keep this upper hand, and then like now it's like, oh, like I have to feel like really unsafe a lot more actually, but in a good way. So yeah, it's like it's a big gift for Cancer to be able to like come out of the shell and just like
Mm.
be as vulnerable as you actually are without feeling like you have to be um like the caretaker, the protector, the emotional safe space for everyone else.
Or that you're going to get stomped on, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah, that too.
that definitely for sure.
Yeah.
Um, okay, I know we're getting closer to the end of the time, but man, I'm like, there's so many more things to
Yeah, I
say.
know. Yeah.
Yeah, another piece I'll mention that really like stands out to me, of course, is the direction of growth in your chart is actually like pulling you towards kind of establishing something more long term and um like real and helpful. So I honestly I'm thinking about like your group practice and that may evolve over
Mhm.
time and what it is.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But like that to me, like that's your North Node in Capricorn in the sixth house. And again, like what that means is about building something that's like a lasting legacy, something
Mm.
that's like real and tangible, but it also provides support to other people. And to me, like that represents your growth from like the confused baby into like the healing daddy energy of like Capricorn is like, I'm the boss, and like not in an egotistical way,
No,
hopefully,
yeah.
but just this like you become that solid kind of pillar, right, in your communities and groups of people as well. So I can see that you're on your way.
Yeah, that feels, I mean, it's odd. It is like really validating kind of in a way to yeah, just know more about this and to hear some of, what you're saying and the connections that you're making.
Joe, thank you so much for sharing yourself with us. It was really just like a beautiful exploration and reflection on some of the Cancer themes in your life. Some of the Cancer themes that I think exist for all of us in some ways. And yeah, I really appreciate your vulnerability and kind of stepping into this new and different way of looking at your parts.
Yeah, I appreciate you both. Thank you. It was yeah, I definitely noticed a shift internally when we were doing this, so felt good.
Excellent. That's all we ever want as Cancers. We're like, we want
Yes.
you to go to a new exploration, new
Yeah.
insight.